In this little video, I'm going to show you how to use conditional statements to set up a material takeoff schedule. I got a little steel frame, found it on some concrete footings. If you're ever interested in what materials each one's made out of, you can just click like a footing and scroll down the properties box, and you can see the structural materials, concrete cast in place. If I click on like one of the beams, you can scroll on down and it's ASTM A992 steel. Okay, so the first thing is, since you're probably wanting to do a multi-category takeoff, both steel and concrete utilize volumes. In steel, I take the cubic feet and multiply it by 490 pounds per cubic foot. Okay, in concrete, I'm interested in cubic yards, so I'm going to take, the number of cubic feet. I'm going to divide it by 27, since there's 27 cubic feet in 1 cubic yard. But anyway, what I need to do is I need to set up a project parameter that will differentiate steel from concrete when I use material volume. So if I go into project, I've already done this, but I've created something called type. So anyway, if you did this and type wasn't there, you just add. I'm just going to say modify just because I want to show you the parameter properties box. You would type in the name type, okay, make sure it's an instance parameter. Use common for discipline, use number for type of parameter, and then I'll put it in the other box. Over here, make sure you check on the material box because, again, what we're differentiating when we say material volume is we're trying to differentiate steel, the material, from concrete, the material. So check that on, and then you'd say OK. And then you'd say OK again. All right. Now, what you're going to do is go over to materials. And when the material browser comes up, you can go on steel A992, double click it, and go to custom parameters. Now you should see the type box now. And since I'm going to do this by numbers, I'm going to say the type, when A992, I'm assigning a material type of number 1. Okay, and so you'd have to type in the number 1 if you're doing this for the first time. When you get the concrete cast in place, again, you go to custom parameters, and again, I'm going to assign number 2. Again, you would have to type this in. It's already there for me for anything that's concrete. Okay, so anyway, say OK, and now we're ready to go to my schedules and my material takeoff. Do multi-category because I'm doing steel and concrete together. Let's do family and type. Let's go down to and put material type in here too, because that will again sort of clue you in on what you're doing. Both steel and concrete have a volume that I'm going to use. So let's go down to a calculated value. Let's say steel weight. Okay, and you've done this before. Now with a conditional statement, you're saying something like this. If, and I'm going to say material type is equal to 1, that's saying if the material type is equal to steel, I'm going to make that a capital, then, and here's my equation, material volume, okay, because in steel, I'm going to take the material volume, so many cubic feet of steel, and I'm going to multiply that by 490, and that's pounds per every 1 cubic foot. Now, I'll put a comma after that and a 0. And what that 0 means, well, if it's not steel, I'm just going to put a 0 there. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with concrete. I'll call it concrete cubic yards. Okay, and I'll write the same thing. If material type is equal to 2, I'm saying if the material type is concrete, then material volume, okay, and again with concrete I got so many cubic feet, I want to change that into cubic yards, so I'm going to say divide it by 27 cubic feet. So I'll take, however many cubic feet I have, and that'll come, divided by 27 cubic feet, and that'll give me a cubic yard. Then I'll say comma 0, because if it's not concrete, if the material item I'm taking off not concrete, I'm just going to put a 0 there. Okay, and then you say okay, and this is sort of what you'll come up with. Again, the wide flange categories are all steel, so they're material type 1. I'm taking the cubic feet and converting that into pounds. The concrete footings, they're material type of concrete, so I'm taking this and I'm converting it. Where the material type was not steel, I'm going to place a 0 if those materials, which the concrete footings aren't. And when I'm dealing with the concrete, anything that it sees that's not concrete, the material, it'll give 0. This will allow me to sum up this column, which is just steel weight, and this column, which is just concrete weight.